Spuddy, spuddy, spud. Spud, spud, spuddy, spud. Spuddy, spuddy, spud. Spud! Unique opening.
Unique opening.
It's probably not a unique opening. I feel I've done that before, so.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. My house is a what would the word? A bastion of germ warfare at the minute. Everyone is sick.
Oh no.
Everyone. Yeah.
Is it the COVID for the 80th time? Or?
No, it's something else. I went down to the doctor. The young fella got sick first. He was in bits, so he was, the poor lad. And it's awful to see them suffer, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, it's horrible, you know. And I went down to the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a virus." Okay.
What do we do with it?
What kind of virus? I don't know.
Yeah. That's it. They don't know. Like 90% of the time, I brought my wee man to the doctor. It's like, well, you know, it's something. Here's some drugs.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like yeah. Anytime you go to a GP, like at home, I haven't been to the doctor very much here, like since I moved here, touch wood, and like other than that whole hospital horrible thing last year.
Apart from that, nearly thinking you were dying.
Yeah, except for that. But like, usually you go into a doctor and they're like, here's a note, go see a specialist, because I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
our actual doctors are actually really, really good. Kind of blessed hearing different stories from different people with their different experiences with doctors, and we've like, I know it's like a practice, so you can go to any of them, but we have one that we were going, but kind of ended up because of COVID and stuff, you end up going to all the different ones because whoever's available you're going to take. But just they're all brilliant, all of them, and do anything for you. When we were pregnant, one of the ones that we were going to see, she rang up the hospital and was yelling at the nurses and whatever because they didn't do the check properly, and really take it on board to do the actual care thing. So it's cool, yeah. So we're blessed in that way. And they all love the wee man, and a couple of them have kids the same age, so they know the whole thing that's gone through.
Sure, how could you not? Sure?
No,
he's the man, you know.
Oh, sure.
He's a good chap.
And have well, you don't sound like you're virused up.
No, I had a bad belly there yesterday morning, and just sore. What the hell's going on? And that was it really, you know. So,
right.
It'll either hit me tomorrow or else I'm over it. I don't know. We'll see. You're grand, sure.
Yeah, pre-COVID and lockdown and all that, if I ever did get sick, I got sick for, like, really badly sick for like 6 hours. And that was it.
Right.
And then whatever it was with the not being exposed to the same amount of germs or whatever. But I've, kind of, anytime I got sick in the last 2 years, which seems to be constantly, just a borderline not well the whole time. It just, it just knocks me. So I've actually been proper sick for the first time in the last couple of years. Hopefully that goes back to normal though. Or maybe it's just because I'm older too. You see, it's hard to know with all the different variables. I'm just old and dying. That's it. Yeah. This is your life now. Someone sneezes and you're in bed for a week.
That's it. That's the worst thing. Aga's been saying it to me. It's like, this is what it's going to be like when you're old. It's like, your mind, the mind is willing, but the body is, Yeah,
it's like that thing of like going, well, I have an awful sore back. What did you do? Well, I put my coat on. I was like, all right, yeah, you'd want to be careful. I know.
Yeah, I've got a book to recommend you.
Cool.
I presume you've read the Bhagavad Gita.
I've read it years and years ago. I was like 18 or 19 when I read it.
So this fella, Nicholas Sutton is his name. You see that there, yeah? He is a doctor, not a medical doctor. He's, I think he is anyway. Let me look at the first page here. Yeah, Dr. Nicholas Sutton. He is one of the head honchos at the Oxford Centre for Hindu Studies.
Oh, right.
This book is amazing.
Right.
I fucking love it. Like
his commentary or the Bhagavad Gita in general, what is amazing?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm 90-odd% sure that he has done his own translation of it and commentary then as well,
Brax has recommended one for me and I got it.
Yeah, he's another. Yeah. I don't know the writer.
There it is. It's just for to balance out. That's the one.
Yeah, that Eknad. Yeah.
But there's a daily one as well. That's like 70 million pages long, big thing as well. I don't have that, but so you can go through it day to day. So tell me about your one rather than tell me about my one.
This chap, Nicholas Sutton, he has another one I've gotten as well. Where he does the what do you call it in the back of the Raja Yoga, by Vivekananda, there's his version of the Yoga Sutras, right?
Okay.
Which I didn't really like that much. You're just reading this
By his
long
version, you
list.
mean a translation rather than he has done his own kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Vivekananda, at the end of the Raja Yoga, he has his from the original one, and then he puts little notes on it. And
Yeah.
they're not great, like, to be honest. But Sutton has done one as well, and if it's as good as this, it'll be really good. It's,
cool.
Geez, it's a great book, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah,
It's class,
the one I read, which is definitely biased, is the Hare Krishna one. So I read that when I was about 17, 18. And, you know, so it has the translation, but then it talks about Krishna all the time. And about, you know, so it's like, I don't know. I don't think I got the full flavour of it. But I mean, I read the actual thing, but it's like the commentaries, I just stopped reading after a while because I feel you're biased.
Writing on notes the whole time in it, like the book is just destroyed.
So it's basically Arjuna on a battlefield between a family, or battle between two sections of his family, which is the light and the dark of the soul. And Krishna just turns around one day, it's his chariot driver, right?
Charioteer, chariot driver.
And goes, come here, wild here. I have a few secrets to tell you.
Which is the whole thing of the charioteer is quite interesting, because there's a lot of stuff in Irish mythology which has the charioteer as an important person, because there's Cuchulain's charioteer who gives Cuchulain sage advice going into battle, and then later on there's stuff with St. Patrick's charioteer who does similar stuff as well. So they're all kind of borrowing from this earlier. Obviously, there's a Proto-Indo-European route to all this kind of stuff, you know.
Well,
so
we assume we've never found it.
Well, I'm saying it.
Okay,
doctor, not a medical doctor. Which I am.
Yeah. True story. Can't dispute it.
Do you know, there's great stuff in it that have kind of taught me about this whole idea of karma yoga, and how inaction and action and inaction, and how oftentimes doing nothing, not even oftentimes, all the time doing nothing is the worst of option. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know, something bad is going on in the world. I'll ignore it. No, don't ignore it. Do anything, you know. But it's this thing about karma yoga, is that it's a bit like the idea of true will, but also there's little differences in it as well. But it's that, like, for karma yoga, the thing is to live without desire for outcome. It's like what you've been saying over a couple of podcasts, of this thing that, like, we don't really mind what happens.
Yeah.
So well, you do something.
I do. I'm trying not to.
But that's the goal. No, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's really what karma yoga is. It's okay, do everything, do what you're responsible for, but just do it without the kind of lust for desire.
Or the clinging on to results. I mean, that's the tough one. You know, I suppose it's like, way to look at it is like, write your song. Don't care if it makes it to number one or anyone else likes it. The whole thing is to write the song. That's it. Yeah. Just go back to what you were saying about the karma action thing. Gordon White has a great kind of approach to this, which I really like. He does say some good things every now and again. He's talking about, with regards to that thing, saying not taking a side is also taking a side. Yeah. You know, so that's kind of the same kind of, I suppose, in spirit with that kind of thing.
That's probably a thing that our Western minds can't find difficult to wrap our heads around, because it's like, there's this idea of balance and transcending things and being above it. Yeah. So that obviously leads you to think then, I just won't have an opinion on it. I won't get involved. You know what I mean? There's two sides to every story. No, the Russians are the baddies. But
there's also with that, it should come in the caveat that, look, it's okay to not have an opinion about something if you're not qualified to have an opinion about it. You don't have to have an opinion about all the things.
Of course. Don't go down the Jordan Peterson road. It's the dark web guys.
Well, I mean, have an opinion if you want, but don't think it's an educated or as valid opinion as someone who has an actual. But I know that's aside to what you're saying. I know what you're saying, that it's like, but there is, like, I suppose. Well, here's the thing: when it comes to, say, something hot topic like abortion or something like that, and there's kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, because from one side I go, I completely agree with all that, and another side there's kind of, who speaks for the baby, all of these things where I just kind of go, I don't know what the answer is. So my kind of thing is, well, I'm going to leave it to I'm going to vote for whatever allows the person themselves to make their own decision. So I think that would be kind of seen as not taking a side as taking a side. But if I voted against it because I don't know, that which is a reactionary Irish thing. I don't understand it. No.
Yeah, vote no.
Whereas I go, I don't know what I think about this. You decide. I think that, and it's my approach to it anyway. But it's like, it's when it's so clear cut in certain things, it's easy. But when it's a bit more, I suppose, I don't know, when it's hard to see the edges of different things or whatever, or say you're talking about Western society in particular, where you go, oh, it's all bad, and it's well, it's not, because there's lots of good stuff as well. But it's easy to tarnish the whole kind of the thing. That's not to say, because it sounds like I'm ramping up to. So Russia's not all that bad. Not going there. That's not what I'm saying.
Western civilization has given us Motown and grunge. That's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
No, look, I like it. Whoever it was who came up with this idea of having a chap on a battlefield going, I don't want to fight, man. It's just I know both sides here, and I don't want to kill anyone. But then Christian's argument is that, well, hold on now. Because you have the caste system, and he's of the warrior caste, and they're saying, look, you're a warrior. You were born into this. This is your responsibility. So, basically, you can kill as long as you're doing it without desire. Okay, so you don't want to kill, so that's obviously you're doing it without desire, and you're not taking any pleasure in it, kind of thing. You're not like the Russians stealing sex toys for their wives. What the fuck is that all about?
I don't know.
And but it's that thin line of kind of knowing what you're just knowing what you're doing.
Tell me this, because it's a long time since I read it. Is there I know it's kind of played out, or at least seen metaphorically by some people, that it's it's like between the light and dark of the soul. That's one way the battle's known. Does Arjuna think that the people he's going to fight are the bad guys, or does he not know? Is that his indecision, or does he know they're the bad guys, but I still don't want to kill them, even though they're the bad guys?
I haven't got that far yet. I haven't read it all.
As far as I remember, he knows they're the bad. It's like a brother or a cousin or something has invaded land, or he's done something. There's some.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm only about. Well, I'd say I'm less than halfway into it by now. But I know from listening to Alan Watts stuff and Ram Dass's videos about it. Yeah, there is family stuff, but there's family on both sides of it, aren't there?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and even on on what's supposed to be the goody side, there's even a kind of a bad mother who's done stuff.
Dodgy uncle, always weird with kids at weddings. Yeah.
Always one. At least
one, yeah.
So I
always sitting on a table on his own by the end of the wedding. Yeah.
I think this is a savage book. Now I know the other one was recommended to me as well, but I saw this one and I did some digging on him, and it says, okay, I'll like cut his jib.
I'll get it too. Because I want to get into the Bhagavad Gita again. It's just, yourself, man. Jesus Christ. Get through it all. I was saying to Vanessa the other night, I was just sitting down in bed and had 6 books in front of me, and I was reading bits of it. I'm just going, I'm never going to get through all the books I want to read, and it's so sad. And she goes, it'd be worse if you're sitting there with no book going, wish I had something to read. I goes, is it? Imagine you read them all.
Yeah. I get that.
Get a badge.
So this was get not overwhelmed with the books, but it's kind of like, oh Jesus, which one to do tonight? Because I want to learn about the next bit of this or the next bit of that, and then it's like, no, hold on, man. Juventus are playing Inter Milan tonight. Jesus Christ,
Yeah. Priorities. Yeah. So I'll read a book about soccer, of course. Soccer. Oh. What country am I from?
Yeah, there's loads of stuff in it. It's. What?
Do you think it's resonating with a lot because of the war, or do you think it's
I think
more than that?
I think it's what's come up on the podcast between me and you before is that while it seems to me that quite a lot of these Western spiritual traditions are more focused on a practice and the goal at the end of it. While me and you are similar, we need to know the philosophy kind of behind it. As good as say Gurdjieff's method is, or any of them, doesn't really matter. It's mostly about the method of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mostly about, here's what you do, this will happen. Here's what you do, this will happen. But this is all okay, well, this is what this is. This is what Karma Yoga is. And this, because it's a huge, it's like, it's this thing of just letting go of everything and seeing that God is in everything, and you don't need to have a desire to get there. It's just living well and being in control of mindful of your feelings and your reactions, you know. And even with your reactions, it's that like you will react. Like if someone, you know, whatever happened, if someone knocks at your door, you'll go down and open up. But it's that actually that's a bad example. Say I don't know.
Well, do the Jesus one. Someone slaps you, like they turn the other cheek. What's the Bhagavad Gita approach to the Jesus problem? Should you turn the other cheek or should you box? I have to bleep that.
No, it would be that. No, but it would be that, right? Okay, you might box him as your instinctual reaction,
right?
But then being mindful of it. I know why I'm boxing him because it's instinct. You know, that's.
Or realize I'm really boxing me da, or I'm having an argument from earlier on, whatever the underlying thing is it?
Yeah, whatever's there. And it's saying that, like, you know, it can say that,
my wife gave me a dodgy look and I have to slap someone at the Oscars.
No, like in a lot of like our stuff, this Western side thing is like, don't hit back, don't do it, don't fall to their level kind of thing. Whereas this is saying, sometimes it's okay.
Yeah, you actually got a comment about that on the last. Just saying about someone, you can read it yourself, but he was just saying that Craig, I think, that he has a rule, doesn't hit, so doesn't whatever he feels it's the right way to approach it, because of the bad experiences he had actually in Ireland, and his family had to leave and stuff like that, and that he from that he's, you know. And I was kind of going, yeah, he says, because he was asking what good has it, because we were talking about Ireland hitting back, you know, that was the thing when we were talking with regards to Will Smith. And so, yeah, well, we got 26 in the 32 counties back, you know, and we got a form of, we have a country that we didn't have, all that kind of stuff. So,
of course, yeah.
But I was saying, but as a rule, I don't hit people. I don't ever escalate to hitting people. Mm-hmm. I've been in situations where friends of mine have been hit, or it's come to the point where I feel I'm about to be hit, and I have hit. And my natural reaction, because I often wondered, you know, what would happen if someone attacked my friend?
Of course, sure, look, man.
And it happened, and you go, oh, look, I'm in the middle of this without even thinking. There, you know, and you're doing your thing.
But sure, look, me and you both worked in pubs. I was a barman, you were a bouncer. We've been in tons of bar fights, me and you, I'd say. I know I have.
Altercations.
I presume you have too.
Yeah.
You know.
And as a sound engineer, for God's sake, I mean, you're in the middle of fucking...
bottles.
And that's me throwing them at the band.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I presume you're having a kind of similar reaction to, like when you see the articles that like the Russian media and even some of the head honchos are putting out about this, just wiping out the Ukrainians and all this stuff. Like,
what's the nickname they call them? Honhos or something? What is it?
That's a pretty bad name. Like,
but it's that if someone I was reading was saying that was a name that they use for themselves in a good way, but when it's used by someone else, it's a bad thing or something. Is that right? It's
like calling us paddies.
Right. Or
but worse.
Yeah, or the N-word.
Yeah. It is stronger.
Right.
But it's like, you know, you see those things and you're like, that was our history for about 500-600 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like our language is wiped out. You know, a good bit of our culture is gone.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, and I feel sometimes that I'm reading the kind of, let's say, pacifist approach to it, where it's like, we shouldn't get involved, blah, 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 is kind of we should just let them destroy the Ukraine. It's like, what? I don't get that. I don't, that it's, not even it's the lesser of two evils, but it's by Ukraine standing up, or by us, whoever us is, you know, helping or whatever, that it's almost as if that's worse than the aggressive thing from Russia. And it was kind of put something in my head just around how we deal with kind of trauma and stuff, where particularly, I don't know if this is the case everywhere else, I assume it is, because I mean, Ireland's not that dissimilar, but there's almost a way that families, if someone has been abused in a family situation or whatever, and then that person talks about it, it's almost as if they're made out to be a worse person than the person who did the abuse in the first place. Yeah. And it's you know, it's like, I mean, it's classic victim blame, but it's a very strange kind of thing, psychosis or whatever the correct word is, that we have, where it's almost like, don't talk about it. And if you talk about it, you have to let the angry man do what he wants or it'll get worse. And if you try to stand up for yourself, you're making, it's like you're to blame for it. It's like, what?
Nonsense. Yeah,
it's nonsense.
That's because we've all picked it up along the way, where it's like sometimes it's just better to let the bully win because it'll be over sooner.
Yeah. Or you'll make it worse for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it's not the way to be at all. Like, we all have to. But like, I see this as like with what I'm seeing from like Irish commentators and articles and stuff. I think Ireland's been so traumatized by our past that it's hard for us to be brave, to be quite honest. I see a lot of cowardly reactions from commentators back in Ireland who are like, there's two sides to this and NATO expansion and yada, 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 yada. And it's like, our bravery is broken, I think, Irish people. I really do, because it's like we just had fucking centuries, literally centuries. Like, Ukraine's had a month. Well, okay, let's start with Crimea. So they've had 8 years of it. We had, what was it, 600 years? Some
800 years.
800.
Last, because I was thinking about that. Like, I always heard 600 years, and all of a sudden it's 800 years.
There's
a couple of bonus years put on there. What's that?
So it's like, I think at this stage Irish neutrality should be gone.
It's an interesting thing that Ireland has the neutrality, but I think it was kind of more of a case of, listen, we need a break.
It certainly was. During World War II, it was like, look, we're screwed because we've just had this, what was it called? The economic war with Britain. Which went on, where we wouldn't sell them our wheat and spuds and stuff like that because we wanted. De Valera, the president at the time, or prime minister at the time, he had this idea to make Ireland self-sufficient, so we wouldn't export any food whatsoever. And Ireland didn't really win that economic war. It made us very, very poor until like the 1980s. We were screwed, So
until we joined the EEC.
And even then, nobody wanted us to join. It was Britain who got us in. Without Britain, we wouldn't have gotten into the EU.
Look at that, worked out for them.
History's mad.
But it's strange with the World War II as well. With the neutrality thing, was also kind of, because Britain could have invaded us at any point, right? Of
course.
And because it would be strategically from a war position a good thing to do, but like there was like Elflas down at the bridge in Dundalk and stuff like that, seemingly, in case to come over the bridge. What were they going to do? But it's the same thing, I suppose, that it's happening in Ukraine. You do what you can do, you arrive down. So with the neutrality in that sense, did that make that harder then to be, kind of casually invaded again or something? I don't really know. You see, it's one of those things that you learn kind of half these stories in history class at school, and you think you know what they're on.
But I think with the Irish thing, it just comes down to you start learning Irish history when you're about 10 years old, is it, in secondary school?
Yeah.
And from the age of 10 until 17, it's just constant losses, death, horrible. There's the odd bit of martyrdom, and there's a couple of revolutions that like work for like a week at best. But then it's just slaughter by the occupiers, And it's just, you're bet down. You're just like, we can't ever win. How can we ever win? And even when we did win, we didn't really, because the British were just like, we just need a truce. And Ireland's like, we won!
We won.
No, it's a truce. We won! We're keeping the 6 counties. Oh, no.
Because it's funny that the book you have for modern Irish history, we had anyway, I assume, is Ireland since the famine. Ireland since one of the major things in modern history that was pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. Will Ireland stay neutral? I can't imagine it will at this point. But I don't think it's going to be pro-military. Like, we're not going to have a big military. We're not going to start buying airplanes and tanks and stuff and any of that stuff. No. But we do have a navy, though. We've one ship.
It's only one now, is it?
Well, I think it's always only ever one. Like, what do we want with a navy? Go out and protest Greenpeace or something, isn't it? Just, Greenpeace, we need a ship. It's battle Greenpeace. Yeah.
I don't know, but they look at the Ukrainians and the soldiers, and it's inspirational how it's an existential crisis for them. It's like, well, if we don't do this, it's genocide. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it is. Anyway.
It is, it is anyway, yeah. But I suppose, that's you. If it came to stuff like that in Ireland, you of course you would see people doing that. But we don't have a military that's trained. We don't have a reserve that's well trained. I mean, there's a military, but it's tiny.
The FCA, come on.
You know, if the FCA, the territorial lads, and it's the same. They wouldn't last very long, kind of thing. Just because of the sheer numbers, we don't have them.
No, well, not even that. They're just like the reason why Ukraine, I suppose, are doing so well as they are is because they've been highly trained by NATO over the last while, you know.
Yeah,
but it's I don't know, because I remember, I don't know if it was, it's hard to know if it was off camera, on camera, on a podcast, whatever, and I was kind of saying that it was the Ukraine stuff was kind of not getting as much news over the last while here, and I'm like, God, I was wrong about that. I'm horribly wrong. Oh my God, this week has been just the most horrific. I don't know how to deal with any of this. It's like, particularly like you kind of go, well, that looks a bit like the street I'm living on. And then you go, oh shit. You know, like, not that it wasn't horrifying, but it's like, it's just, I can't begin to understand.
I can't.
Remotely. Like, it's just like, I have no idea how to start processing any of that at all. And
it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And to think that, each soldier, okay, your orders come from above. I understand that. There's a hierarchy, you follow orders. I understand that. But just knowing that these lads have a choice to shoot an old man or a woman or a child in the head, they don't have to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, they just don't. You know, it's mind-boggling. It's horrible.
And the whole kind of pro-Russian soldiers don't know what they're at. Well, that was definitely a scam. That was we fell for that.
Well, no, apparently, the first kind of horde of lads that were caught were mostly conscripts, and seemingly half of them did know, and the other half didn't know. But a lot of these lads that are in, say, Bucha, who were doing the executing, they weren't of the same rank.
Right.
They weren't conscripts, and these were
actual soldiers, whatever.
And not even actual soldiers. They were another kind of brigade who are doing this. This is their thing.
Right. This is what they're designed to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we may get off the subject because I could feel boo.
Yeah. Well, look, please God, it'll. As you say, there's brighter days ahead for them.
Hopefully, I can only assume so. That's what I've decided to believe anyway. So, so a couple of things that are kind of interesting synchronicities coming from the black stuff that we did. If you don't know what the black stuff is, it's Guinness. It's an entity from the Secret Chiefs who talked to us first through Jason Mendel, Nuggin, and then through Duncan Barford, and then through the dulcet tones of Spud Murphy. And he get the one that seems to be flowering, expanding for me is the stuff with Duncan, the 3 petals from the flower. And it seems to be taking over my life. It really seems to have ramped up something.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, big time. And they're all, again, it's the type of stuff, when I tell you about the different things, I'm not convincing any skeptic of anything, and I'm not tempted to anyway. They're resonating with me, and it's the resonance that goes with them that's more important than the actual quality of the zinc, if you want. That it's like, this is something, So the first one was good because one of the petals was the Octahedron. So I got it. I put it. It's up in my social media if anyone sees it. It's actually really nice. I filled it with water, and we haven't had sun since. So
thanks, Black.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, that's just stick in my window and cloudy days. Perhaps he's not the ascendant master of weather in Ireland. It mightn't be the thing. But then I was kind of because as I've told people before, I've started the arcane school. I actually got my response back from my first homework this week as well. It was really nice. It said that was a very fitting and nice addition to the group taught around these subjects. I thought, cool. I must have said something okay. But one of the things that comes up, there's a thing called the Great Invocation, which is kind of the centerpiece of the Arcane School. It's a prayer that was given out by the Master DK. Dual Cool. What a name.
Dual Cool. Nice
Dual
name.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like a bassist.
It's Dual Cool.
should be a bassist in an American, what are they called? Like Green Day. What's that type of music called?
Punk band.
No, but it's not punk. What is it?
Post-punk. Alternative punk. What I know is...
SoCal punk, isn't it?
Or,
no effects.
Like the the bass player in like Living Colour or something like that. You remember that band? Yes. Yeah. Dual Cool. Yeah. So anyway, so it's a prayer, and it's all about. It starts with taking from the point of light within the mind of God, that light shines forth into the minds of men. And so it's like from, as Lon would say, Lon, I love this line, from the Godhead to your head. Great line. And so it's like 4 phases, and then it's from the heart of God to you, for the purpose of God, to the will, and then to restore, all this kind of stuff. So it's a nice prayer. They changed the wording of it recently because people were giving out about the fact that it mentions the Christ, and the Christ in Theosophy is different than Jeezy Creasy. Not much different, but it's more.
Jeezy Creasy.
It's more, Christ consciousness, that kind of stuff. But anyway, so look, that's the kind of thing. But it turns out that the Great Invocation can be seen as the Octahedron. That's known as the Octahedron as well, which I didn't know. So that's an interesting sync that it's lined up with the kind of stuff I was doing. But last night I was, they do this like quarterly magazine called The Beacon and send it out to you. And so I was reading through it. It's just articles and stuff,
Is it like the Watchtower? Did Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, it's like that. It's exactly that, only for, Theosophy or whatever, or for ageless wisdom. But so there's, stuff from the books, and then there's people write essays, and then, a couple of interesting, quotes from, I don't know, Aurobindo or something like that. But it was just, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Shurawasi. I've heard that name before. Alan Chapman mentioned that name in the retreat that I did. And that's the only time I kind of came across it. Perhaps Kingsley talks about him. I'm not sure, because I think he's I was going to say he's possibly Sufi. I don't know the lineage. But anyway, he's translated by Korban, who Kingsley definitely talks about. Mm-hmm. And this thing is talking about this book, which is the recital of the Purple Archangel. So the first one, purple, which we got in the thing, but purple, doesn't really matter. But then it talks about this book, the recital is talking about the soul and the journey or whatever, and it's a metaphor using the falcon. I went, oh right, okay, yeah, let's have a look at this. So the falcon, well, for the reason why that's relevant to me is my HG, his name is Peregrine. And there's a pilgrim falcon, a whole load of sinks that came around that. And then it talks about what happens to falcon is that these men who deal in predestination, who throw out this thing of predestination, it's like ropes come over the falcon, keeping him on the ground. So then I was thinking, this is interesting, because the ground thing came up with another bird of prey in the Duncan thing. Yeah. And it has four rings that kind of keep it down or whatever, and these are the 4 elements, and these are the things that go in, and which again came up in the Duncan thing, the 4 elements, why is there sadness and this whole thing, and so that's the thing. This chain, it's chain mail or whatever it is, these 4 rings or whatever, that's the body. So you have the falcon, which is the soul, then you have the body, and this is what's keeping it. The body is what's keeping it down. So it's definitely going to kind of, we're in prison here, but I don't think it's not full Gnostic. It's just saying this is a way of looking at it rather than you actually are imprisoned here. But that's maybe. Okay. I mean, maybe that could be just not wanting to, because I don't like that idea. Although it seems fucking right a lot of the time. So it's saying then, so the thing that you have to do is you have to, essentially get in touch with your solar angel, your HGA, whatever, and listen. And that's the thing that gets you loose. But in order to do this, there has to be a sword, and the sword has to hit your chainmail, cut it open, and the sword is wielded by the angel of death. And it's really painful unless you've been listening to your soul and working with your HGA and all of this kind of stuff. And how do you do that? Is that you use this thing called the water, the spirit water, the water of life, all of these things. And it's going to, this is the teaching, this is the essence of what you're getting from your angel. This is and when you listen to that and you bathe yourself in that, and it's like saying it comes over your head, And this, when the sword of death hits you, it just falls apart and it doesn't cause the pain. And then it's kind of course, nowadays, this thing is called the water of Aquarius, which is the first thing that Duncan said. And I was going, right, so when I seen that, I was going, and so it's going to just going through. So it's like, so I went on to the internet and was going, I must get this guy's books. There's like one book and it's 50 quid. And I went, I'm not going to get this guy's book. But it's just kind of really this very interesting number of syncs in and around one that this was part of where I am in what I've decided to do. And I wasn't expecting it. And just so many little things. And there's a lot of other stuff kind of going on where it feels like there's I was going to say momentum because it doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere. It feels like an expand. I feel like every little thing, I'll tell you exactly how I feel. So when that happened, when it came to, because this is the water, the also known these days as the water, it was as if like there's a little, you're in a bank and you're the guy in the film with the headphones and he has it up against the bank vault and he goes, and it's just the next bit. And I'm like, so that's what it felt. It felt like, or often I get this kind of sense when I have an insight or whatever. It's like as if there's someone building a statue and it's just, the next chip has just kind of gone off. So it felt like that. And they're all kind of these things that kind of it seems like they're going, it's not that because I was going to say like it's going somewhere. It's not.
Yeah, that's the desire thing from karaoke.
It's not going anywhere. No, but And I'm aware it's not good, but it's just when I try to explain it.
Of course.
But it's like a flower opening. Let's put it that way. It's kind of. But it's also
all
not
these
that.
dots are joining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these dots are joining.
But there's not. It's again. It's not. There's nothing new forming. It's all. In Magia's sense, it's already the case. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. So. When we were talking about levels of the three different petals and what they mean, whatever. So this is now seems to be another level where on one level there were this thing of like it was like the water was creativity, the silver water, then the green arrow was my son, and then the Octahedron. I don't know. No, sorry. So now it's kind of moving up. So now I'm back going. I don't know what the green arrow is now on the next thing. But you have to be then careful of doing that kind of pursuit thing of trying to work it out, trying to put your brain to it. Like as it's the problem rather than just, I don't know. It's like that. What was it? Jason called it his lazy magic. You just
passive manifestation or something.
You just kind of let it go. So yeah, it's interesting. It's been my meditation is back to not sucking as well, which is great because it fucking sucked last month. I hated it. I really didn't like it. And I was talking about you get a secretary and you can ask him questions. And I was going, man, I hate this. Like I'm not used to it. It's like, he says the problem is possibly, it's really nice, that you've started to use meditation like a comfort blanket or something you do to enjoy, something that you can, that you're relaxing. And it's kind of, this is not what this is. This is work. And if you're looking for that kind of, because I'm definitely guilty of that because I remember doing the Magia lying down thing and essentially it was like I was taking a nap, for 20 minutes, which is fine. I needed it. But so now when it's kind of has given me a bit more of a, because the non-dual stuff, I'd love to be able to finish all my sentences. I always listen back to the podcast and stop every sentence halfway through because my brain is going on to the next thing. The non-dual thing and the resting in the non-dual awareness is definitely a passive act and it's something that is enjoyable if you can get to it. And this is not that. And so I have to, and I also have to stop trying to see meditation as, unless I get some sort of insight or progress or something that it's not of value to me. And which is also stopping the progress. One thing, the progress will stop the progress. It's the Zen thing. You just sit down, you do it for no reason. Mm-hmm. That's the third insight, I suppose, without hogging the entire podcast, but then we'll talk about what you think of me. Which is kind of a realization that I have discounted an awful lot of things that could be useful to me because were said by people who had fallen out with or don't in some way want to be right. And in order over some... Is
this our shared problem with authority, is it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. And so if in order to... I seem to have thrown away a lot of good stuff because it comes from a source that I can't, as a person, admit that they might be right about something because they're not right about other things.
Yeah.
And in order to, I suppose, in my head, to admit to the good stuff, it feels like I'm also admitting to the bad, you know, the righteousness of the bad stuff or whatever, that kind of thing. So,
plus you're admitting that you're wrong on something.
But also, what I feel I'm doing is I have to admit to being wrong on the things that I don't think I'm wrong about.
Yeah.
Where you know, maybe necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's that. So if someone says, you know, you really should save your money, but also says, you know, something like, oh, I hate your mother. I can't accept that I should save my money because that in some way feels like I also have to accept that I have to hate my mother.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's kind of looking at that stuff again and kind of, what am I discounting because it came from a source that in some way I feel embittered, is that the word towards, or feel it's like I can't let them be right. Can't let them be right. So that's kind of it's a nice. Well, it's nice in one way to you know, when you realise something about shitty behaviour. In one way, there's a relief to it, but there's also, oh shit, I'm doing this. Oh crap! Now I have to, I don't know, work this out properly. So it's kind of then you have to in some way look at these things without giving it all away, you know, but not discounting the bits, whatever. And that can be tough because it can, depending on the relationship. It's like, I don't know, if your dad always told you were useless or whatever, but he also had something great about fixing cars, you know, you take the bit about the car and forget about the useless bit. But I was throwing away the bit about the car. That's the point. Yeah.
I get you. Yeah. That's brilliant. I'm happy for you, man. It sounds cool.
Yeah. So it's, they're mixed with total and utter distraught and horrific feelings of intense
dread, and horribleness as well.
In the middle of it all, and trying to go, oh, there is a reason for this. His door doesn't look like it over there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see people. You know, at the start of the war, there was no one. Non-dual people coming up on my Twitter, and they've started to come back now. And it's just, you read the tweets, and you're like, I fucking dare you to say that to someone in Mariupol. You know? Are
you talking about Bernardo Castro? Because he's been playing an odd game on Twitter. I don't know who have you come across that? He was like going that he seemed at one point to be kind of going, we should let Russia do whatever they want, and I was going, or that Ukraine is that thing. Ukraine is as much to blame in this, and the West is as much. But it's just going like, don't do that in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Yeah,
but he today something obviously changed in him. He's every post he's put up, every tweet he's put up has the Ukraine flag and the European flag, and I think that the latest videos coming out have changed an awful lot of people's opinions about things, even that the hardline kind of stuff. Which, how could they not? You know, I mean, it's like they're some of the worst things you'll ever see. Yeah, you know. But anyway, we're diving back into that.
That's interesting. I'm kind of going, Jesus, Tommy's getting all these things that I didn't get any.
Yeah, but you see, you kind of instantly knew what the stuff was, though.
I think I knew what it was. So you know, that's what I have to put it down to. It's just that I already know what it was. I presume that's what it was. Even though I don't know the last card reading that we did there, that hasn't made itself known yet. But I think it's. Then again,
you have to accept my authority.
Yeah, second authority. But maybe it's just something like, you know, reading books. Like, maybe, Jesus Christ, Tommy. You know, 4 or 5 years ago, because you said, Spud, you're going to read you're going to read a Hindu religious book.
Yeah,
which is
you will have, by your own choice, bought a Bible.
Yeah, which is the root of Hinduism. You know what I mean? Because imagine me reading stuff like that a couple of years ago. I get the fuck out of here. There's no fucking chance. And now I'm like, this is, like, I'm thinking in my head, like, this is one of my favourite books I've ever read. And I've literally only read, like, 77 pages.
Yeah, the twist.
And I'm already going, this is one of my favourite books.
The twist at the end puts everything off, though. When it turns out he's been dead all along and he's a ghost. No one liked it. Or the village is actually from 100 years ago. Or it's not, it's modern times. Yeah.
I know Callie makes an appearance later on. That's going to be fun. You know.
There's some great, come back to the Krishna, Hare Krishna stuff. There's some great artwork, the illustrations that come in that book as well. It's Bhagavad Gita as it is that one I'm talking about. But the Krishna's is great artwork. Great food, great artwork.
Do you know what?
Not so good on the rights of women. So
I say this to you. For a long time, I have felt there's it feels like there's a need to commit to a deity.
Right.
Or it could be a teaching, but I think it's a deity. And so, I've dabbled with, like even go back to a year or two ago. The first thing was the Celtic ones. And I'm like, I'm Irish, so I'll go with the Celtic ones. Dagda seems cool.
Yeah. Turn out they're all fake.
There's a lot of cock stuff there, so I'm not into that. Lugh is a bit weird. Lugh was cool, and then WBH turned him upside down, and now he's this kind of weird Cupid figure, which he wasn't at all, but that's Yeats' fault.
Cupid figure? Really? Is there like the...
Yeah, this god of love stuff, and he's like... And
Lugh of the long arm. Yeah,
it comes because he helped... Tristan and Isolde is the other version of it. Tristan and Isolde is far more popular than the original Diarmid and Emer, isn't it?
Yeah,
so Lugh helps Diarmid and Emer get away from Fionn. And so this is where Yeats picked up this love god bullshit, basically. So, and then there's Danu. Danu's just not real. It's all completely made up. I went through a lot of them, But then there's like, okay, maybe it's Callie. Callie's kick ass, but it's not fitting, So I don't know. Maybe that's what this authority thing is. That there's someone too committed is going to rake my head. But it's what
about Black then?
We Black, but I think it's I don't know. I don't know. It feels like.
Just, not to interrupt, I've been exactly where you are, where I was looking for the deity thing, whatever. And I was around trying them all on, whatever. And none of them give a shit.
Yeah, none of them. It's weird, isn't it?
The only one who actually really gives a shit is Ganesha, but he just loves everyone. So, I mean, you can just turn up and he's, hello, have some ice cream. You need that door opened, no problem. But so he's always there. So that to say that they didn't, that is kind of, and obviously.
But who should it be? Because like in the.
But I think that the directionality of it was wrong in my case, which may be the case for you, in that you're looking rather than inviting.
Okay.
Because I think that was my problem. I was like, going up to Morgan and go, come on, can I be your friend? She's like, piss off, man.
Yeah, Morgan, don't leave her alone, man. She has issues. Yeah. No, because I'm thinking now, because I think there's our conversation with Marco when he was talking about the HDA is in the Telemus thing.
Spud the Telemic. He's got a Crowley up.
I read the book a lot. It's pretty good, actually.
First two chapters are pretty good. The third one has
the last one
has attitude.
Nuts. Jesus Christ almighty. I thought it was this massive book. It's not. You fly through it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fucking symbolism in it. But anyway, it's That was confused me about the Book of the Law, is that I just don't know the names. Had it, who it, knew it, Jimmy McAdoo it, And but then in one of Lon's books there, I put up a thing on Discord like, who are all these people? And they're like, just keep reading that book. Gene was saying, just go a few more pages.
I think that was the Crowley one, isn't it? There's a glossary thing.
Yeah, like he can say, this is Shiva, this is Shakti, and then okay, I got it now. So no, but at this idea of Adonai, isn't it? That's how it's pronounced. So Adonai is the HCA. But Adonai is God, so the HCA is then also God. So then maybe it's just the HCA, and you just dedicate yourself to that.
There's an interesting thing about the HCA stuff coming out of the Theosophy stuff. They call it the solar angel, and the way they approach it is that your solar angel is who you're having your apprenticeship with. So, and it's not, well, I mean, ultimately it's all you, right? Like from the non-Jewish sense, but that it's an entity that has advanced to the point past you, and that then takes on an apprentice, attaches itself to you, and then when you do it, they leave. They're gone. There's also an interesting bit that sometimes the solar angel goes, "You're a giant dickhead. I'm leaving." But you really, you really have to be, and that's like the kind of lost, weird disgust. Even brilliant. The angel has gone, no way, I'm going to find someone else. Yeah,
nope,
I'm done. So it's like it's going.
It's you.
So they don't have to hang around if they really don't want to.
Brilliant.
Anyway, just had to interject that's another kind of interesting. While it mostly follows the same pattern, it's definitely not saying that it's the completed you in the way that sometimes it's expressed, that it's just you from the future looking back. It's a different fucking thing, Ultimately, we're all the one thing, but it's as different from you as Ganesha is to you, even though ultimately we're all the same thing. Well, Tommy Kelly's not the same thing as Ganesha.
Yeah.
Whatever is the thing. But so you're thinking that's the
I mean that.
Where are you? Wait, because you kind of stopped talking about it a bit with the HEA, because then it turned into the Sophia stuff and all of that. But where are you with all that? What's your thoughts and all that around the like? Do you still have chats? Do you still do all that kind of stuff? Or
no, nothing. I haven't had any major visions in quite a long time.
Right.
It's an awful long time. The last big ones I had, and I think I told you, was I heard my name 3 different times. Did I tell you this story?
I'm not sure.
Right. So it was before turn of the year anyway, and it was over a couple of weeks. I heard 3 different voices, female voices calling.
No, I don't.
I'll tell you this. No. So I'd just be meditating, and then I'd hear Patrick like that. But the voices were my dead auntie, my mum, and the HCA.
Okay.
And so then I went, all right, so that's 3 women. What do they represent to me? I went, okay, so it's the lover, not lover, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your ma,
Yeah.
the one who loves you, the one who, the creator, the destroyer, and whatever the other one is. So I was like, okay, it's Callie. And then, you read a couple of books on Callie, and yeah, Callie's fucking kick-ass, man. She's deadly. But at the same time, it's like, not really that much of a connection there, really, because it's too... It just seems a bit too distant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
that's it. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think it's either like a lot of time for the idea of Sophia. I think she's kick-ass. I mean, it's the goddess of knowledge, not the Gnostic one.
No, well, it's the Gnostic one that made a mistake. Goddess of wisdom, not knowledge.
Yeah,
it's
wisdom. Okay.
Well, there is a difference.
No, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I don't know. And I've done invocations of her, and like it's felt good. And like you do that, and then you do a tarot reading, and you get this amazing tarot reading, which just opens a door to something. And you're like, oh yeah, thanks, nice one, that's cool. But at the same time, it's like there's nothing that's telling me to dedicate to that. Maybe, not that maybe I shouldn't, but there seems to be a longing within me for this one symbol that encapsulates this
the thing.
Want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it. I understand.
Yeah. But at the same time, maybe this is just a silly desire that I don't need to have, and I got to get over it and just plow on.
It's love it though, isn't it? Like I mean, that's essentially it. It's the love.
But if that's what it is, then it just has to be the HGA, and I prefer like the Telema idea of the HGA as it's the representation of the duality of God, rather than like, you get like the angel books or angel stuff on the internet, and you see like you look for where's the hierarchy of the HGA, and it's actually really fucking low. Yeah. Whereas like I think myself it's that knowledge fucking really, really high. So I prefer the Telema idea as well, but that's also fitting into a bias.
Yeah, but you have to go with. I assume you have to go with what feels right to. You know what I mean? Once you're not kind of demanding that it's the truth, that this could be the thing that gets you.
Yeah.
So if it feels right, and go, no, there's an attraction to that. There's some gravitation towards it, whatever. Certainly needs to be investigated or worked with, I would say. But
yeah. I mean, look,
but be careful of the seduction element of it too. Like but I know you are. So it's. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I say hello to her every day, and I say thanks to her every day. I light a candle for her every day, and I have coins, little Italian coins.
I know I have one. You sent me one. Yeah,
I have them all over the house, and just touch them every now and again. Say thanks.
Yeah. So in my wallet.
And so maybe that's it. But also maybe there's a fear of commitment to it as well. Do you know?
But is that coming out of the thing that you were, the Tower thing that came out of that reading though? Is it like?
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, look, we've all been burned badly in the past, so we're all afraid to commit stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except our ever suffering and patient wives. Thank God they put up with us.
They're the real HGAs.
Oh, she'll have a big head after hearing that. And rightfully so. She's wonderful.
Yeah, because I know talking to other people who have had the HGA experience, and kind of go, well, what were, and it's 10 years later, whatever it is, what is it? And they'll say, like, oh, well, it turns up every now and again, kind of thing. It's not an ongoing. But of course, the other element is, well, there's the union, and so it disappears in the, so there's that too. Or the Thelemic stuff, when you cross the abyss, you realise that there was no angel in the first place. It was you all along, Scooby-Doo. So it's like, I feel like there's something I meant to say to you, but I don't know what it is. There's something that needs...
No. I don't think there is. I think you just have to find it yourself, and it'll work differently for different people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, look, I'm not losing any sleep over. I'm grand. I'm as good mentally as I've been probably since I was 8 years old. Okay, the war stuff is annoying me, and it gets me down now and again, but I can still get myself out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, Jesus, for as long as you know me, like, I'm definitely the best I've ever been.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, particularly the last year anyway, you've been, not to say that you were shit the first year at TaSTA. Remember the first year at TaSTA where you were shit? It was just shit. Yeah. I think the turning point between me and you, where we kind of haven't known each other for years, was that we were in a Slack channel or whatever, and you put up the Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan thing, and you went, "This is good," and everyone went, and I went, "Yeah, it is, yeah." Nah. Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan have subsequently become different people than they are. But I think that was the first. So that was probably when you were in the middle doing the counselling stuff, was it? Was that?
Yeah, it probably would have been, man.
That kind of. Yeah, that's probably 3 years ago, was it? At this point,
that's more. No, Jesus, more. So the young lad is 5. The young lad is 6. So 7 years ago, and I stopped it just before he was born because I won't have time. I won't have time to meet you, and I'll have way more problems. So we need to stop this.
Yeah. Just give me the answer now. Just write it down on a piece of paper and I'll look at it in my wallet. Yeah.
I'd go back and do it again though, because there's lots of stuff where you thought wasn't a thing back then, and it's since you read, and then you come to realize, oh shit, that was a big thing. But at the same time, I'm all right. Like, because of all the spiritual stuff, I'm fairly good at being able to see above it. Now, look, you will still get into the height of it and get yourself anxious and annoyed and depressed. But once you can get through it, and you're able to tell yourself, no, look, stop, calm down, try and look at it from above, then you can. I remember, I don't know, maybe it was on a Duncan podcast or one I don't know, maybe it's an article he wrote or something, but he was saying that, like, anytime you get depressed, maybe, anytime depression comes around, it's just knowing that this is something that just to get through.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the best advice you have for anyone with depression, rather than being like, oh, cheer up, oh, look on the bright side, da. It's not. It's just
bear it.
Get through it. Yeah, bear it.
That's a big thing with me. Is I said it in one of the videos, but it's that when Jesus dies, he goes to hell and he literally sits there and bears it. And I was going, right, okay, that makes sense to me. Rather than not trying to change it, not trying to justify it, not trying to turn it into something else. Just there it is. And that's been. No, I was going to. It's not a solace, because certainly not. It's the opposite of that. But it's like it's a okay. I'm just going to bear this, and that's okay. It's not okay. Words are so stupid. I hate words. They don't explain what I mean at all. Want to talk about the documentary?
Yeah, let's do this documentary. Yeah,
it's called, if I'm right, The Secret of the Stones. Yes.
Secrets of the Stones.
Secrets of the Stones. It's 2000. Oh God,
Did I send this to my fucking? Did I send this to my boss again? Fuck me.
Here's a great song. So it's an RTE factual documentary. RTE is the Radio Telefís Éireann, which is the Irish broadcaster, and it's the Cork department. Whoever is responsible for the music in the Cork department of RTE factual in 2006. Get away from that stock music website.
The music is
Step
awful,
away.
Isn't it?
It's like, it's if someone took the music from, I know, not Final Fantasy, because that's from like some epic RPG.
The music is very epic, and it doesn't deserve to be epic. It doesn't. There's no.
And we found a gate. And the gate led into a field. Anyway, the documentary is about ancient Ireland. It's a 2-part documentary. The first one's about ancient Ireland and their thoughts, beliefs, burial practices, religious practices, cataclysms, climatic stuff that made them change from earth-based religion to a sun-based religion, which is very interesting if it's true. Lots of speculation, and I really love that most of the interviews in this will go, let's talk to Pat. Pat's theories are very interesting, and not everyone agrees with them. But by the end of it, it's like, oh yeah, well, I agree with them anyway, so that is fine. And I
love the casualness of the lads in it, because like there's fellas on Skellig Vickle. Skellig Michael is Michael,
or is it Skellig Michael?
Skellig Michael. Skellig Vickle is if you've seen one of the recent Star Wars where Luke Skywalker was hiding out, this is where he lives. Big rocky place. It's very hard. And the hermits were living there, and so one fella's dangling off a rope, and he said, found a step. How are you getting on? Not too bad now yourself. And it's just and then there's another bit. This archaeologist comes into what is apparently Ireland's oldest church, and he just kind of walks in. Well, how's it going? Hello. Well, how are you? You must be Pat. Hey, yeah, I'm Pat.
Yeah.
Jesus, was it raining earlier?
It's so Irish. Brilliant. So the second part of the documentary is then the Christian. I was going to say invasion. It's not really an invasion. It's the Christianization of Ireland and how
Christianization of Ireland. Did you know that stuff? Did you put that together? No, I didn't.
No,
that's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's such a simple fix to that problem that it has to be it.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I'm convinced by it, by everything.
Yeah. Mine too. So for anyone who doesn't know, like, Ireland went from being pagan to Christian very, very quickly, but most interestingly of all, very, very peacefully.
Yeah.
Like,
and
they just went. It was kind of like, one morning they're pagan, and then like a fortnight later, the whole country is Christian. Yeah. And this posits the idea that, well, it was because there was just these horrible change in the climate at the time, which the sun was blotted out for, was it 12 years?
19 days or something, like, or 18 days, something, I think.
Was that all? Sorry, the 15 years one was earlier.
It's the other thing, yeah.
And it was this thing where, like, it was just this symbolic kind of changing of an aeon.
Yeah, because it's not just in Ireland. There's just changes in China. Like, I'm not going to remember the others. There's a number of changes anyway around the similar periods around the world. So it definitely feels like a handing over of, here's the baton, now you run with it.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and it kind of echoes that what happened in the previous episode, which is the change from an earth-based religion to a star-based religion.
Yeah.
And the reason, I know we're jumping all over the place, but go with us. So it was kind of like when you're starting off under this religious tract as a human, you kind of worship the land because you come from the land, your food comes from the land, you bury your people. Well, I was going to say in the land that don't, it's above land. But and then there seems to be some sort of huge why can't I pronounce words anyway? Cataclysm. Catastrophe. That's the word. It is cataclysm too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'm confused. What's the Christian catechism? It's not a catechism. And so they have it. They dug up a load of trees, and around it's 11:59. They have it so precise. It's ridiculous. 11:59, 9:34 a.m. in the morning of a Tuesday. Something happens. And the trees didn't like it at all. Oh, the trees didn't like that at all for a number of years. And what they reckon is something equivalent to what they're saying, like a volcano blotting out the sun. But it can't be a volcano because that ash would fall relatively quick, like a year or 2 years.
It'd be like what happened to Iceland not that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, yeah.
But this is a sustained period of, 20 years? Something.
Yeah, I think it was 12 or 15 years.
Yeah, something. And so the sun goes. And obviously people are starting to die. There's, I assume, famine, all sorts of horrors going on around. And so the suggestion in this is that because
Russians
of that,
were stealing vibrators for their wives.
Yeah, if you want to know where your stolen headphones are, they're in Belarus. It seems, because you can geolocate them. Idiots. Idiots, too nice a word. But anyway, so the earth gods essentially they feel have let them down. And you're not that powerful. There's these even more powerful sky gods that we need to make good with, or whatever. And so that's they're saying is the change between the earth to the kind of the solar. So you start looking up and that kind of thing. There is a kind of a thing that's always in these things that you have to be wary of. That there's an implication in it that the poor, simple people of the past who didn't really know anything. And there is an element of that in this, that it's like, oh, sure, they wouldn't know any better. They wouldn't be able to work out a cloud, whatever is the thing. And so I think it's a bit more, it's probably not quite just as simple as that, but I don't think they were fooled by it, by these things in the way that we would like to think from our lofty, educated.
With changing from an earth god to a sun god, like there is stuff in the Irish mythology that Daida, he was the head honcho first, but
who's the Jupiter equivalent, isn't it? Like essentially the good
but
god.
Somewhere along the line, it became Lugh who was the more popular, and he was he was the sun, but he was seen as a sun god.
Well, it comes from the same, isn't it, as Lucifer, light, like, isn't it? Lux, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So it matches up with what they're saying in the doc, that like at first it was the earth, agriculture, and then it moved to the sun, sky worshipping,
Goes through a lot of the kind of old ancient tombs and stuff like that. And that's really interesting. I remember being out at one, I think it's called Loch Crew, and there was kind of a guide there, like some sort of actual paid guide, not just some random woman. She's going, this is stone. It's actually a really great place. There's a place in it called like the Witch's Place and all that. Really cool. Next time you're home, I'll bring you out. It's a big long hill you have to go up though. It's really annoying. Exercise. Oh, I just want to see the tomb. And she was saying, because I was saying, and she overheard me going, and the Irish stuff is older than the pyramids. And she went, no, they're not. That's a thing that we have, that we think they're older than the pyramids, but they're actually come way after. And that we were like one of the last people to cop onto that. Then you watch this documentary and it goes, these are all much older than the pyramids of Giza. And you're going, random person. So I don't know. Like, I suppose it depends on what way you want to date all of these things. But my thing was always that this is all older than the pyramids. Like this is.
They do say in this that it's what was the oldest one? Karen.
Excuse me.
Blah blah. Karen blah blah.
Karen blah blah. County Blue.
Karen. Oh yeah, we wrote here first. Stefan has a lovely dog. The German guy, Stefan Berg. Jesus, dog was class, wasn't he? He was like, a bit like an Irish wolfhound, but mixed with something. Caramore.
Right.
So yeah, they were saying
it just means big rock, right? Essentially.
Yeah, Caramore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carrickmore. Yeah.
Brilliant.
They were saying that.
That it's, what we call this place? The Big Rock.
The Big Rock.
There's a big rock over there.
Where I'm from translates as Sleeping Rock. Clogulta is the district within the village, and Cluck is a rock in a cuddle sleep. So Sleeping Rock. Pretty cool, huh? Cool.
Yeah.
It's like something from a Western. But what was the point I was going to say? Yeah, no, they do say in it though that it's older than the Great Pyramids. So not all of it.
Yeah, but I mean that's the only one we care about, right? Just those three big ones of Giza. Like,
yeah, exactly. But they're older than them, so like.
So maybe there's three smaller pyramids right beside those big ones.
1,000 years older than Stonehenge.
Yeah, a lot of glee in that announcement. But yeah, another thing that's kind of touted about in the kind of alternative history thing is this insistency that they weren't used as burial places. A lot of these, and that's another thing that they were subsequently used as burial places, but the original intention was something else. And it's kind of seen as that, that we shouldn't just immediately think that it was just somewhere that threw their dead, that they had more thing. They definitely were using these to bury their dead.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
There's no question of it. Like the amount of dead people that were in these. Because you kind of hear like, oh, well, there was like, we found a bit of a finger over there and there was there's a toe over there. So this was burial place. And you go, this wasn't a burial place. But that's not what it is. It's like, there was 6 foot of cremated human remains. So much so that they had to start burying them outside. All right, this was a burial chamber then. Okay. I'll accept this.
Yeah. They don't want it to be because they'd like it to fit into their conspiracy theory of everything being on ley lines and being able to communicate with people in China by using mind bullets or whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah. There's definitely an agenda in that. I know maybe not all of them were, and some, we have made mistakes about some of them, but these in particular, the case is pretty much, I would assume, closed. If the facts of this documentary is to be believed, like it's just someone on telly telling me this, like I didn't see it myself and all that kind of stuff.
The stuff, I found the stuff when there's a lady in. I'm going to get the pronunciation of this wrong now because I was saying it to you yesterday. It's not like Coat. It's like Doubt. Knout.
Knout. Yeah.
Knout. Yeah.
Knout.
Knowth.
I have Knout to do it.
I have Knout. She's in Newgrange first, and she's showing, because anyone who knows.
Oh, this woman loves her job.
Newgrange,
she loves her job.
They'll know that there's lots of swirly patterns on rocks, and these kind of the typical kind of Celtic designs of the three arms coming out of something, And she was saying there's astrology ones there. There's these like different suns, which are start to show the different positions of the sun throughout the year and all that stuff. Because like obviously they knew lots about the sun and the stars and the moon, because they were able to build buildings that would only let in light on certain days of the year.
Didn't know what a cloud was, though.
Yeah, didn't know what a cloud was, of course. Yeah, they weren't smart. No, they got lucky. Yeah, they got lucky everywhere they did this. No, actually, they got lucky once and then just copied the plans.
Control C, Control V.
But then, she goes down to Knout, and she shows this thing of what is possibly the first representation of a mother goddess, which I thought was pretty cool. And there's also sundials and suns for the year as well. And then she just shows that, like, what she kind of asked, like, what are all these things pointing to? And it's like, it's astrology. So they're paying massive attention to the stars, which they hadn't been doing in the earlier burial grounds at all. They were just somewhere for people were ceremonially buried, whereas now they're also ceremonially burying people, but they're also paying homage to the universe going on around, So, you put two and two together then, and then you can see that the belief has shifted to they see themselves as all part of something,
Yeah.
I thought that was
certainly
quite
seems
cool.
a more kind of, that was a similar kind of thing that like the Egyptian stuff was doing as well, just that, that they were aligning with the stars and, that there was this cosmology that was involved that wasn't just Earth-based. Well, it's hard to know, maybe the Earth-based stuff had some sort of cosmology, it was just based on the Earth, we can't know.
Yeah.
But there's another one where he goes to the oldest known cairn, and it's the oldest stone in the cairn, and there's a symbol on the back of it, which is an interesting symbol to us because it's the black air symbol, or the Aries symbol upside down.
This thing, but it was like that.
Yeah.
And there was a little one bit coming off the top of it.
Yeah. Which interestingly he said was an arrow. It looked like an arrow, and I was going, I'm not seeing an arrow here. Like
I don't see an arrow.
I'm seeing like a fish hook, possibly, if anything. I really like about that. There's a great story, and I can't remember the name, but there was an Italian architect, and he had to build this church, and he built it for such brilliant proportions, whatever, that it didn't need pillars. But the church came in and goes, hey, you used to stick pillars in here because this isn't safe. And he got so annoyed with him that he built the pillars, but there's like a 2-inch gap between the pillar and the roof. And I was looking at this thing my man went into, and so it's the oldest stone. So they reckon the other stones are built on top of it, but it's the only one that doesn't actually touch the thing. The thing I was just going, yeah, I wonder what's their thing. I'm not building it. If they want to use this old stone, they can stay in its own place.
Yeah, genius.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting, and I really loved the way they talked about all of this stuff as art. That it was like this, the artwork, and this is the thing. It wasn't just that the way they kind of dismissed, like, cave drawings that drew a bison before they hunted a bison. It was just a thing, but it was like, no, this was a creative act, and that's certainly a magical act, whatever way you want to look at that.
I remember you shared an article a good few months ago now about this discovery of the cave art drawings and why they're not very good, basically. Yeah. And it was just kind of discovered by random, because usually in these caves, the ones that are open to people to go and look in and investigate, it's all electrical light. Remember, the farmer came in with this fella with just a lantern, a candle in the lantern, and put it down, and then just because of the way that the flame moves, you could see that, oh shit, these bisons and giraffes and whatnot are moving.
Animated, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a very different experience, because you're not looking at it from the perspective that the people who made it were looking at it, because you're sticking in a fluorescent light and going, look at this terrible line work. He's coloured outside the line here. Primitives didn't even know clouds. So then, like, I was going to jump there to the Christian element of it, but there's the kind of, I suppose, that then go to this, the Helitora stuff, the cock and ball stuff, which they just don't mention, which is so strange because obviously
looks like
it's clearly, there's no question of what it is. And it's just not mentioned. good, polite Ireland wouldn't mention that. If you ever look at the Hill of Tara from like a helicopter view or a bird's eye view, there's just no question.
There's no question. Yeah, absolutely none whatsoever. Like
Hill Tower's a great place. I'm sure you've been there.
I've never been to Hill Tower. Isn't that shameful, huh?
Yeah, it's impressive, but also not impressive because when you get there, it's just a field. You know, you kind of have to put on your imagination thing. But the Mound of the Hostages is kind of the big thing. There's a very phallic thing sitting on top of it that it also isn't mentioned in this documentary. But there's one of those wishing trees in it as well that they tried to get rid of, where people tie the stuff to it, and all that kind of stuff. At one point when it was doing that, with all the stuff had been removed, and there was kind of a notice up, don't do this. But then the next time I was there, it was pretty much back, and the sign was gone. So maybe there was some sort of uproar.
You'd want stuff like that to stay,
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hill of Tara, to explain it to like Americans who won't know, or British people as well. The Hill of Tara was basically the seat of the High King of Ireland. So the High King of Ireland was basically, Ireland was divided into different provinces, different amounts at different times over our history, but to
was
kind
that
of
always
stop.
4? No, was that? I just kind of assumed it was
No, it wasn't always 4.
Okay. Of course it wasn't. People can't agree on things.
People, so there were so many wars and all going on between the different tribes and chieftains that they eventually just said, right, look, we need an arbiter here. We need a referee in the middle. So he was a king he'd be nominated. There wasn't a royal family. The king was nominated, and he would rule for 7 years.
And then killed, isn't he?
Yeah, in some periods he was killed. Yeah.
No, I don't want that job.
It was one
Great 7 years.
One poor fella had his nipples cut off because of the weather.
What was that?
But that's not in this.
That was in some documentary we watched recently.
Yeah. It was poor old devil. Not his fault at all. It's getting his tits ripped off. Jesus Christ! Like, but there's loads of great stories about old High Kings of Ireland. Very interesting thing. Like, Ireland had this thing that a lot of countries didn't have. They had royals who were bloodline stuff, and then until someone killed them all, and then they'd become king. But in Ireland, it was like, no, you have this, you have this, you have this. I'm in the middle, and I'll stop you fighting because you're fucking animals.
And like the ceremony and all that's been done there. So and one of the stones from the place is under the Queen's throne in England was taken in it, and that's where it is. Return the stone.
God, they didn't take that. Sure, our harp is still in their flag. Fuck's sake, like, give it back.
But so it's like, from a cultural point of view, there's just very interesting with regards to king stuff and all that. From a magical occult point of view, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's a weird place. There's definitely a centre of energy on it. Is it the 4? You can see the 4 counties around it and all this kind of stuff. There's loads of interesting kind of elements to it. Of course, it was taken over by Patrick. Maybe it's hard to know, but there's a church there now. As you go in, you go through a church, you go to Patrick's statue, graveyard, and so it's certainly it became then the centre of Christian Ireland.
Yeah, what happened was Patrick had been making his ways around Ireland and was getting a bit popular. The High King didn't like this, so he went down and paid a visit to Tara, to the king, and basically he had a kind of magical battle with his head honcho druid.
Yeah,
and
rap battle.
Patrick won a rap battle, and Patrick won, and then Ireland became Christian because of that.
Yeah, I remember in our books when we learned about that, there was a thing where the Irish people at the time were portrayed in our history books at, I assume, primary school, as like what we would see as, savages in the
hunter-gatherers.
Like not cultured or whatever. As if they could, they probably would have made them dark-skinned as well, if they thought to get away with it.
Probably,
But it's this idea that St. Patrick came up and he put down his crozier on the ground and he continued talking or whatever, but then realised that he'd put it through the foot of the chief, and the chief didn't mind because he was so interested in what Patrick had to say. And it's just all history's a lie. All of it, every bit of it. All of it's history's a lie. But definitely told that the pre-Christian Ireland was savages in its worst sense of that word. Like,
we weren't at all like.
No,
very sophisticated culture. So
highly cultured. So yeah, there's a place in that as well that they're saying that to be buried in here you need to be some sort of royalty. So that you know, I'm assuming they're assuming that, giving the place rather than to found anything.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But and then they do a lot of tests around it and to find another big kind of circular thing. And I like, you know, the computer animated, you know, it's 15-year-old animation, so it's just all right. But it gives you the kind of idea. But they cut down an entire forest to build this, which I was horrified by. I didn't like that. Not cultured at all.
Yeah, but the whole country was forest back then.
I know.
Wouldn't have hurt as much.
But just huge.
Cool though.
They found it by using LiDAR. Is it? I wanted to say that word a number of times. They just kept enjoying saying it, I think, in this documentary. The LiDAR revealed to us. But then he's gone around with his contraption, the geo. Yeah,
they've changed them now. Have you seen any new ones? They're like a lawnmower, the new ones.
Oh, right, okay.
You just walk around with this kind of lawnmower thing in front of you. And it goes
Makes more sense.
beep, 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 beep. Yeah. But it's cool to think, like, I mean, you know, the Hill of Tara, look, I haven't been there, but anytime I've seen it on telly around, the Hill of Tara looks fairly big, but then beside it, there was this huge thing which was like a wood henge. And it's incredibly huge. It's massive, you know.
Yeah.
Holy shit, like. Could you imagine the crack they used to have there?
Oh, yeah, parties. Get your nipples off. No, I don't want my nipples off. And it was centered around the mound of the hostages, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But they call it like the dirt track or something just really stupid. Some real kind of someone with no imagination.
It wasn't in this one, but isn't it? We came up before something we did. It was in the mound of the hostages where they found. I think that's where it was, where they found the remains of this really, really ancient king, wasn't it? Who had been a product of incest between either a father and a daughter, or a brother and sister, wasn't it? I think it was there. I think so. Yeah. This was in the TG4 thing. That's what that was.
Oh right, yeah, that's gone back a while.
Yeah.
That's back when you were shit in the early days. But they cut to the forensic lab, which they've lit really because you know CSI was obviously huge at the time, and it's lit like that. It's exactly like that. And go,
didn't look like a real lab. It looked like a studio.
I know. I go, oh look at this stock footage they're using, and then they start interviewing them, and I go, oh right, it's not so.
That can't be.
There's no way they're working in that atmosphere.
I've been in
most
labs
of the lights off.
Yeah, I've been in labs in universities and colleges in Dublin. None of them look that cool. You know?
So you once digging through all the different remains, whatever, and she said, oh, you know,
gosh, she's genius, isn't she?
I love my job. And your man comes in, I think, and says, is there any way you could put the skull back together? And she's kind of pulling out these tiny little things and going, no. No chance, man. And, all right, okay.
But this man, she's so good at her job. Like, she just takes up these tiny little fragments and she's like, yeah, that's part of the femur, that's tibula, that's collarbone, that's a tooth. Oh, this is interesting. This, and it's really long, and it's a tooth, and it's like, this is a tooth of a 6-month-old. Like, oh, fuck you.
Sad.
That's really sad.
Why? I didn't need to know
that. What you do that to me for?
Yeah. No thanks. Yeah, put that back.
Yeah.
But yes, all that's kind of going on. I think that's mostly what happened in the first one, isn't it?
First patch, switches then to the Christianization of art.
Yeah. And it's a very kind of different feel to it as well. And I thought going into it, I was going, oh, maybe I'm not going to enjoy it. But I did enjoy the second one as well. Again, talking about the switch over from the different form of worship.
But still, like, you know, keeping it. It's a weird one in that, like, the name of it is Secrets of the Stone, but you kind of have to keep it in your head that all of this history is in stones. You have all the mounds, the cairns, the dolmens, and all that stuff, and then it changes to the monasteries, which are all
You forget it's just because it's more modern.
You forget that, like, the idea of this documentary is that our secret is in stone. You know I don't think they hit you over the head enough with it.
With it, yeah. Like, look at this stone cross and a stone building. Does it remind you of anything?
But they go on about, like, they don't start off with it, but they start talking about, like, the proliferation of monasteries and towns and all these things and how they became basically kind of like city-states, corporations within Ireland. You know, there was rivalries between them and stuff like that. Quite cool.
Almost the way Italy was, like, where it was, a lot of, like, Venice was its own country, essentially.
Yeah. They would have had, like, Clonmacnoise get some mention of all this. Glendalough. I've been to Glendalough, I know, hundreds of times. I love that place. It's lovely.
I've only been once for my sins. I must go back. The Clonmacnoise stuff is interesting because a woman who's a really, again, comes in and they say, she has some theories. Not everyone's on board with these theories. And so she believes it was that they were like this kind of city-state stuff, whatever. And she wants to find, is it a wall that would prove that it was kind of had a certain boundary or whatever? But the guy's coming out with his machine, a different guy, same machine. They only rented it for the filming once. And he comes back and goes, yeah, there's no ditch here. And she can kind of go, we need to find a fucking ditch, man, because my theory's relying on this. Find a ditch. And then he comes back, we could try one more thing. Yeah, we found a ditch.
There's a latrine. That ain't good for you. No.
Yeah, no. My theory must be correct. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so they were saying that the guy who, the priest was more like he was like almost like a mayor or a city leader or whatever. That was the whole thing revolved around a kind of because it was built beside the two major trade routes, a river and a road or whatever, and that it's kind of seen as more as not just a place to, you turn up on Sunday, whatever. That it was the cultural side of these places. Commerce. Yeah, but I mean, I assumed that was the case, but because like you go to any kind of small village around here, you have the church, the pub, the post office. Yeah, and that's what you do. You have the and the butchers, which is also funeral directors. And possibly one other thing, but
there's a good thing about the possible Ireland's Michelangelo. I hadn't known this. I didn't know that was interesting. The high cross, or it's Celtic cross. Yeah, it's a high cross. They're a little bit different than the normal Celtic cross. Celtic cross would just be a cross with the circle.
These are comics. Essentially.
Yeah, these are basically comics on stone crosses. They're fucking kick ass. Like the
there's a good few of them around. Where I am in Monaster Boys and Mellifont. That Monaster Boys is very quickly mentioned, but Mellifont Abbey is mentioned. The really grumpy priest. That's Mellifont Abbey. That's just out the road here.
Right.
But there is high cross, amazing high crosses. It's the similar. And I was hoping they were going to say that it was the same guy. But they kind of got dispirited after the test or the 3D rendering of these two crosses, two very famous crosses. And they're going, well, what do you think? Well, I personally think it's the same guy. We can't prove it. You're just so worn that they're either it's the same guy or they literally copied it from the same book. It's not kind of the idea.
I don't know.
I love the idea though. I love the idea of it.
Yeah, I love the idea that there was this specialist who did high crosses around Ireland. It's fucking deadly.
Well, it seems a likely thing, because I mean, like,
yeah, it does. Yeah, it seems
it's like something that is a couple of people going to dedicate their lives to doing something to that level. Probably not, But,
bastard of a job as well. Like, cutting all you have is a hammer and chisel, and you're trying to cut out these detailed stuff. But they're deadly because, like, some of them, like, they start off at the top, or maybe start at the bottom, isn't it? With the like Adam and Eve, and then it all progresses through the Bible up to Jesus' resurrection stuff. They're deadly,
and they're really huge things as well. Like even and very impressive. Even from a non-Christian point of view, and the round towers and stuff as well. I thought they'd go into them a bit more because that was big news. That was also something we were taught about a lot in history growing up, was these round towers that the monks had. It doesn't really, kind of just moves past them a bit, but it does talk about the Skellig Michael, as they call it. Skellig Michael. It's a really interesting place. Why would you do it? Why would you go? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to this island that really doesn't want me down. And I'm going to build stuff that would be the hardest place in the world. But it's like when you look at the Peru stuff and there's this huge temple on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere and you're going, man, that's the worst idea or the best of it. It's pure devotion. And they're still finding stuff, as you were saying earlier on. They're just walking around and go, oh, more steps.
Smash, still finding stuff. There's two ways onto there's because I remember being down around there years ago, my uncle saying to me, what's it look like? And I said, I don't know, it's two hills. Yeah, what's it look like? Look for it. And so I didn't get it, but it's supposed to be Christ's saddle where he sits, because it's like a saddle.
Yeah? Oh, from the little donkey, little that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
No, it's when he comes into Jerusalem. I say.
Yeah. So anyway, but we were supposed to go to it, and we couldn't get to it because the sea was the water was too choppy, so we couldn't go. I'd love to go though, and that's it. They found on between the first peak and the second one, there's two tracks, and they're like, why the fuck is there two? And it turns out the second one was for the hermit because on it there was just a room, a little chapel thing where he did his hermitage.
So there's 5 or 6 guys built this monastery on one One guy got so sick of the shit of the other 4 guys, he goes, "I'll go to the other place." Good luck, lads.
These are too horny for me, lads. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. Do you know what I mean?
The interesting thing I thought about that is that they were up to something. They were making some sort of discoveries, because certainly they weren't making money, and they weren't, turning people into, certain Christians, whatever. But the centre at Rome decided they didn't like it anymore, that it had become in some way too powerful, or just had its own say or something. Like if that felt that there's some part of that story that's not been told. That was
that was the whole of the whole kind of idea of the Celtic Church anyway, because there was differences between what the Roman Church taught and the Celtic Church taught. The biggest difference was the timing of Easter.
Oh yeah.
So we do Easter now.
The pagan way.
Yeah, based on the moon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Based on the moon, and a few weeks after whichever moon it is, that's when we commemorate the crucifixion. Whereas
Wesak, isn't it? Wesak,
yeah, whereas the Celtic Church were like, this is stupid. There are 365 days in the fucking year, lads.
Yeah.
So if it's on the 10th of April, then we do it the 10th of April every year.
Yeah.
But the Romans were like, no! Pasta!
Yeah,
no!
pasta, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's like, how did they even know what was going on in it? I suppose just close them all, shut them all down, come on home. But yeah, what was a couple of other things in the second half? Do your notes though.
It was the early church, the thing from like the pots from Antioch in Turkey. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Like that shows like proper roots of like the early church. You know what I mean? And
I know what it was that I wanted to talk about was the fact that they were saying that St. Patrick wasn't the person who brought Christianity to Ireland. The cool guy sitting under a tree go, "Everyone knows that Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland. Everyone knows, but they're wrong."
Yeah. He's dead right.
Yeah. And the narrator goes, "Not everyone agrees with the theories of Pat under the tree."
No, but there is, as far as I know, there is historical evidence for that there was a bishop here first, and Patrick was sent to him to spread the word throughout Ireland. So he wasn't, he wasn't.
But you have evidence of churches previous, like a couple hundred years before Patrick and all that.
Yeah.
That oldest church thing that they found.
Yeah, I like the idea of the oldest church, because there was the jars from Antioch, which proved there was this trade. Either there was a trade route, or either that they came from there. And then there was these the peacock, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Peacock or pheasant? No, peacock. No, pheasants are native. Peacock, and they were saying that like, this is crazy.
It used to be a huge symbol.
This was a pagan thing, and then it was Christianized by, I don't remember, one of the desert saints, and so that's what this is doing here. But it's not found anywhere else in Ireland ever. So it's obviously very, very early Christian. It's like, wow, holy shit. Like they just stumbled across this earliest Irish Christian church, and it's in the middle of nowhere. Like it's not on a coast. It's not like, if you're sailing to Ireland, like you either end up in Dublin or Wexford or Belfast. But this is on the west of Ireland. Yeah. So what they're showing is that I think Kingsley has this in one of his books, that if you flip Europe on its side,
Ireland becomes central.
And you see Ireland is like a pit stop, because you'll come through the Straits of Gibraltar up past Spain, you'll stop in Ireland, restock, and then you'll move on then again.
It's very strange to see how different the map is, even when you just go, whoop, isn't that? Like, that's mad how we are so ingrained in this, or the fact that most maps, have Africa at the wrong size and Greenland's the wrong size and all this stuff. And when you actually see the proper projections, you go, I don't live there. It's a different country. It's a different world.
How come I'm not underwater?
What time are we? Oh, we're coming to the end. It's a good documentary. It's on Amazon Prime in Ireland. It's definitely not in Poland. And it's you can. I found it where you can sign up to an RTE commercial website, and you can buy it to play to people at in your local cinema or pub. Excuse me. But other than that, if you want this, I'll send you a link. I enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give this 9 Peter Kingsleys. I really enjoyed it.
You give it a 9?
Yeah. And more because I found it super interesting rather than it's the best made documentary. Like there's some terrible music. There's some terrible kind of camera work. There's the sound on the second episode, like what we're thinking.
Shocking.
Yeah. And I know what they did. It's like they've put a double sound on one of them slightly out of sync. You know exactly what it is. It's laziness. Or just go, yeah, it's grand. It's probably a deadline where just go, yeah, it's grand. Throw it. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And I went to look for the book. The book's out of print, of course. You can buy it for 150 quid on Amazon. Who's buying books? Who's buying these books for 150? That has to be some sort of money laundering scam, doesn't it? Has to. Yeah, well, you're obviously not giving it 9 people.
I wouldn't give it that high. I thought it was a bit slow, and because it's RT factual, RT factuals are made for universal. These type of things, you can show them in school, basically, to kids. So that's why they didn't mention the cock and balls, which is fucking blaringly obvious.
Yeah, to show it.
So, and there's no like sex stuff in it really as well. So it's very clean. So for me, it's a bit too clean. But I'll give it 7.
Good.
I'll give it 7 Peter Kingsley. It's good. It's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're interested in Irish history. Yeah,
and I like the sigil sync with black. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a wink, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty good. So hopefully when we talk now, well, you might be away now, are you?
No, I'm here next week.
Right.
I'm here next week.
Well, hopefully when we talk next week, the world will be a different place. Wouldn't that be great if you woke up and it was like,
oh yeah, tomorrow's the 7th of April. That's something we were told.
Remember that, that you see the Victory in Europe newspaper and it's like the excitement. It's like, visualize that. That's that's the magic of, but it is that thing. It's not the good magic of don't do magic for the thing. Do it for something that can only happen because the thing happened. So do it that rather than say I get my job, you visualize or you magic for the
bottle of whiskey you buy.
Bottle of whiskey you buy because you bought the job or got the job. Hopefully it's not as bad as it was this week. But I don't know. It's like, is it good to watch that stuff, Spud? That's my question to you. Like, it should.
Yeah. I think you have to watch it. I think you owe it. It's like I remember years ago, one of my good friends here was having a bit of a rant one night, but like, why when people come to Poland all the time, I want to go to Auschwitz. Auschwitz is horrible. It's so sad. It's that. And I was like, well, you want to go because you want to pay your respects. That's why. I think you owe it to the people who are being slaughtered.
Yeah, I just think the people who you need to be affected by it are the people who aren't going to watch it, though. That's and the people who are already devastated are the people watching it. That's the. But yeah, there seems it's also a kind of a thing in it that to remember these people, not forget them, and all that stuff.
Remember them and to try and live your life as well as you can to honor them.
Yeah. Right, with that happy ending.
That was crazy. Look.